The date is October 9th, 2019. It's the top of the 8th inning of the deciding Game 5 of the National League Division Series between the Washington Nationals and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Nationals third baseman Anthony Rendon stands at the plate as his team trails 3-1. 1 ball, no strikes is the count.
Rendon in the air to left. Taylor goes back to the wall, and it's gone! Anthony Rendon, a leadoff homer in the 8th.
This is Clayton Kershaw, the face of the Los Angeles Dodgers, the flagship team in the second biggest media market in the game. A team that has experienced nothing but success for the better part of the preceding decade. That is, until it comes time to finishing the year with a win. The Dodgers have won their division every year since 2013, making 7 straight National League West division titles. The previous 2 years, 2017 and 2018, they took home the National League pennant, losing the World Series in heartbreaking 7-game fashion to the Houston Astros and running into a buzzsaw in the form of the frankly unstoppable 2018 Boston Red Sox. Clayton Kershaw, quite poetically, has had a similar story. The 31-year-old Kershaw has been a star of the league since he first arrived in LA back in 2008, showing great promise in his 20-year-old rookie season, though really taking stride in his second year in the league. Kershaw racked up multiple sub-3 ERA seasons, making the All-Star team 7 straight times from age 23 to 29, and winning 3 Cy Young Awards and an MVP. Just like the Dodgers, he has cemented himself at the top of the game in his respective field, an all-time great for a model franchise whose run of success is marred by only one thing: not getting it done when it has mattered most. Anthony Rendon rounds the bases and makes it a 3-2 ball game, and up to the plate steps Juan Soto, a 20-year-old Dominican upstart who is already one of the best hitters in the game. He represents an injection of youth and energy into a Nationals franchise desperately needing it, as just like the Dodgers, the Nationals have had their fair share of heartbreak. After moving to the nation's capital in 2005, the Nationals were a veritable basement dweller for the first 6 years of their existence. Though showing considerable improvement in 2011, it was the 2012 season where the Nats would finally make their mark and rise to the top of the sport. For the waning decade of the 2010s, the Nationals had the 4th best record in all of Major League Baseball. They are making their 5th playoff appearance in just 8 years, and have had a who's who of all-star talents make stops through DC in the quest for a World Series title, though one stood atop them all as the face of the district's team: Bryce Harper, the prodigy, the LeBron James of baseball, a kid who was hyped up as the second coming of you name it since he was 15 years old, and the lowly Nationals got him. Harper, along with a stellar rotating supporting cast, would lead the Nats through their run of regular season dominance throughout the decade. Though where the Dodgers couldn't win a World Series, the Nationals couldn't win a single playoff series. Heartbreak after heartbreak, nothing could ever seem to go the Nats' way, and after Bryce Harper left for the division rival Philadelphia Phillies after the 2018 season, 2019 would be the last hurrah for this Nationals core who just lost their most famous member. So it's good that they have this guy, and despite his young age and lack of playoff experience, the Nationals wouldn't rather have anybody else in the batter's box.
In the air to deep right center field, and there she goes. We are tied.
For one side, a curse is broken. For the other, this has all happened before.
And back-to-back jacks in the 8th. This is deep to center field. Bellinger's back. It's a grand slam. Howie Kendrick with a 10th inning grand slam. And the Washington Nationals have knocked out a heavyweight in 10. They beat the Dodgers.
Sports are filled with moments like this, moments with enough narrative to craft a neat picture, to make the reality feel like a tightly wound story. The inherent randomness will always spit out an obvious winner and loser. You just need to look at the scoreboard. But really, the scoreboard and the landmark moments that we point to never tell the full story. The Nationals would go on to win the World Series in 2019, marking their storybook ending, though the Dodgers would go on to take the title home the very next year in the shortened 2020 season, and then again in 2024. The misery index, the poignant billboard plastered behind Soto as he launches homer into the right field seats, lasted only 3 seasons seasons, mainly propped up by the inclusion of the Tenderloin comedy troupe, also known as the Impractical Jokers. The show's short run outlasted the Dodgers' championship woes post-October 9th, 2019. Clayton Kershaw is also not a historically bad pitcher in the playoffs. Sure, his regular season averages dwarf his postseason performance, though a few moments of notable choking had inextricably linked him with incompetence in October. There's Clayton Kershaw, the MVP, the Cy Young, the Hall of Famer, and then there's playoff Kershaw. And though Kershaw now has 2 titles to add to his resume, it is a reputation that has followed him to this day. If you're an econ major, the misery index means something very distinct to you as a simple indicator of economic and social hardship by adding together unemployment and inflation. While the suffering of Dodgers fans is small potatoes to real misery as proposed by this index, there is a parallel to be drawn here. After 2 decades of mismanagement of one of the most prestigious franchises in American sports, with the peak of Clayton Kershaw came the return of the Dodgers as a superpower in the MLB. As their stock rose, as they spent more, as they brought more and more people in to get the city of LA their first World Series since 1988, their failures became more and more monumental. Making the World Series in 17 and losing in 7, making it again in 18 and losing in 5, and then losing in the first round to a team who had become a joke for never winning in the playoffs. This was the true misery, the absolute bottom for Dodgers fans before the championship success in the 2020s. Playoff Kershaw rears his head again, and though the Dodgers were heavily favored in this game, it would be hard to say that they were totally surprised. Their lives were not materially affected. This doesn't threaten their well-being. It's just a game. That doesn't matter at all in the moment. Few probably felt sorry for Dodger faithful at the time, and even fewer do now, as the Dodgers have an embarrassment of riches and multiple titles to their name in the past 5 years, though this is a story that is echoed throughout the same very sport multiple times. Among the most notable being another prestigious franchise who has boasted more titles than any since the turn of the century.
Game 6 of the 1986 World Series is brought to you by Miller Genuine.
October 25th, 1986. It's Game 6 of the World Series between the Boston Red Sox and the New York Mets. Bottom of the 10th, the score is tied at 5. Boston leads the series 3-2, and if they can get out of this inning and win it in the 11th, they will be taking home the city's first World Series in 68 years, the second longest active championship drought in all of sports. Our star stands at first base, Bill Buckner, a 37-year-old journeyman who has enjoyed a long career of constant work at the big league level, much of it at the first base position. He has accrued over 2,000 hits, received MVP votes, and made an All-Star game, but none of that matters now. He is simply a cog in the machine for a team burdened with the responsibility of lifting a decades-long curse for an entire fan base. He's gone 0 for 5 today, and 4 for 28 in the series. But if the Red Sox can find a way to pull this one out, absolutely no one will care. Bill Buckner will be known as a champion. Then, the spotlight shines on Buckner.
Little roller up along first, behind the bag, it gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win it.
If you look at this loss from the lens of a 21st century fan, it is almost impossible to conceive the idea that this was business as usual for Boston baseball. The Red Sox had been the debatably lovable losers to their big brother rival Yankees, dating all the way back to when they traded then pitcher Babe Ruth to them in 1919, only a single year after winning their last World Series, and starting the curse of the Bambino. Failure and the Red Sox were very familiar at this point in history, but this was like nothing else. Right through the wickets. Buckner never had the reputation of being an exceptional first baseman, and at this point in his career he was playing on 2 bad knees, so he was still a professional first baseman, the starting first baseman on one of the 2 best baseball teams in the world. This is something you would see out of a little leaguer. This is something where you don't need to know the first thing about baseball to know how bad it is. It's obvious, it's visceral. You don't need any backstory. Buckner, however, handled this like a champion. While one mistake may be the most memorable moment of his long career, he did not let it define him as a person. He was welcomed back with open arms in Boston after signing with the Red Sox for the 1990 season. The Red Sox would break the curse of the Bambino in 2004 by winning the World Series, then again in 2007, in 2013, in 2018, beating, of course, the Los Angeles Dodgers.
1-2 pitch. Red Sox win the World Series. 5-1 the. Here's a ground ball right side, could do it. The Houston Astros are world champions for the first time in franchise history.
Just a year before the Red Sox earned their fourth championship of the 21st century against the Dodgers, the Houston Astros earned their first World Series in their 55-year history against LA. A grueling 7-game series that included 2 extra-inning wins for Houston and an instant classic in Game 5, in which a game started by 2 Cy Young Award winners, Dallas Keuchel and Clayton Kershaw, totaled 28 hits and 25 runs in 10 innings, where the Astros took a 3-2 edge in the series. The series would move back to Los Angeles for Games 6 and 7, where Rich Hill and the Dodgers bullpen would combine to throw a gem in Game 6 and put together a 3-1 Dodgers victory, forcing a decisive final game. November 1st, 2017. Game 7. The preceding nearly 400 games both of these teams have played combined are absolutely meaningless at this point. Narratives can be broken, legacies can be solidified, championship droughts of almost 30 years and more than half a century respectively can be ended. And, well, we all know how this ends.
Because of Sanchez's success.
Here's a ground ball right side, could do it. The Houston Astros are world champions.
The Astros were lucky they got their happy ending just a few years earlier in 2013, as the Nationals and Dodgers were turning their corners to the top of the National League, and the Red Sox were winning a World Series themselves. The Astros were suffering a third consecutive 100-loss season. After missing the playoffs for the preceding decade, after losing the World Series in 2005, the Astros would finally make it back to the postseason, famously choking away the 2015 ALDS to the eventual world champion Kansas City Royals. 2017 was their redemption, a buoy for a city smack in the middle of a state that produces some of the best talent in baseball, though has never seen their home team hold the trophy, a city that was still recovering from the aftermath of the devastating Hurricane Harvey. The Astros provided some cheer to a starved fan base and a community in need of a win, no matter how small in the grand scheme of things it really was. This was that win, and by the looks of it, it wouldn't be the last of them. In a story, what happens after the happy ending is left only to our imagination. Life doesn't work that way.
Here they are, 1 strike away, 1 out away. 3-2. Yes! The Washington Nationals are world champions for the first time in franchise history.
So we now have a lot of allegations and confirmation that the Astros were using a video camera to cheat and steal pitches.
New fallout from the Astros cheating scandal, with some Astros players taking heat for how they're apologizing for the cheating.
Since used.
Bang, that one was very slight, but he takes the changeup. Now, Farquhar looking good. Let's see. Fastball, no bang at all.
The Astros accused of using a sophisticated video system and a more primitive code of trash can bangs to alert its batters to which pitches were coming.
The whole Astros organization and the team feel bad about what happened.
A sign-stealing scandal would become the story of baseball, only extending into the 2020 season. The Houston Astros were public enemy number 1 in all of sports, violators of the integrity of the game and competition in general. While the Astros also have the 2022 World Series championship to hang their collective hats on, the 2017 title will forever be tarnished. While not wiped from record by the league, this championship banner will always have an asterisk next to it. Even in success, there can still be misery. For 4 straight years, 2017 to 2020, the World Series champions told a story. Lots of threads, years of history, and very different aftermaths. But when you look at the scoreboard, it all becomes much more simple. But what is there to learn from this story? The old cliche is that baseball is a game of failure. You can get a hit 3 times out of 10 and make the Hall of Fame. Your successes are few and far between, and that is accepted in this game. You can be the best team in baseball for 7 straight years, the best pitcher in baseball over the course of a decade, and still have the reputation of being a choker, never being fully appreciated for how great you really are. You can be remembered for the worst moment of your career, instead of everything you did to get yourself to the pinnacle of your profession. You can reach the mountaintop, only to be knocked off of your perch soon after. None of it's fair, but neither is life, and life doesn't have a scoreboard. Pain is temporary, misery is temporary, and happiness is temporary. There's always tomorrow, and if you allow yourself, you'll always get another chance.